Have you ever given someone a compliment and in return they responded with an insult? At that moment, it's easy for the mind to be like, wow, how did they dig a fight out of that? Or where did they come up with that? I mean, what kind of response is that to what your intentions were to be a compliment? I mean, you could have easily, saw someone waiting for you, um, to get through a door before you were entering, and you could have been, responded with, thank you for being so patient. And their response is, well, I wish you could have been. The expectation, most would expect a kind reply in return. But why would we expect that? So at that point, if we did expect a reply of kindness in return, and we didn't get it, then behind that emotions could rise of maybe anger, irritation, confusion, judgment. All these things that are very subtle that we go through every day. These are the kind of things that has a tendency, in my experience, to come up and it's just shining a light on what's already there within me. Because just because my intentions are to give love to someone in their world, it doesn't feel, they don't see that as love, or it's veiled, or whatever, is going on, to where the response is not in kind. It's what was needed at the time. I mean, it's a mirror that reflected. There's something that you expect, and why are you expecting? Why are you expecting? If I was to do something kind for someone, possibly, maybe they were, in a point in their life where they couldn't provide food for their family, and I went over there and, picked them up and went shopping, and spend a couple of $100 on food, fill up their freezers, and so they can get out of this rut or whatever it was that they're going through. Is it right for me to expect them to repay, or to have some sort of expectation in return for doing that kind deed? That I need to be repaid because I was kind to you? Or how should we deliver kindness or love or anything? Should there be a expectation behind any action that's given to someone in kindness or in love? Do we expect those who possibly have not recognized themselves as that love or that source of life to act in kind as we? Those are the things that can trip you up, or just be very subtle when there's not awareness to it, that what's going on. And I am grateful for those times, because yes, still, when I give someone love, and then it's no love in return, there is, sometimes there is a little bit of pause. I haven't quite gotten to the, point to where the pause is not there. It often takes me a pause, and then there's a thought that will come up that wants to judge it, and then it's like, well, there's no expectations here. All this happens with maybe a few seconds, because I realize what's going on. I'm aware of the situation, but still there's a pause, like, whoop, oh, okay. And that's all taken, a lot of times it's not an expression. Sometimes there is, especially if it's with family members. Because family members, especially when you're raising children, you always want to show them that, when people are kind to you, you should be kind back. Was that very nice? You can always ask them questions, or what showed up today. Anger showed up today. Was that judgment that showed up today? Things of that nature. You kind of want to give them reflection so they can reflect, or they can realize within themselves that this is just showing up. This is just passing, which means it's not you. Whether you say it like that in those words or not. But by, opening up space for them to realize what's happening is good, especially when it's your family member. And I have a toddler, as a lot of you know, if you've been watching this channel. There's a lot of that has to happen when you're raising a child, because you're not wanting to raise up a wild beast. You want them to be kind and loving and respectful, and hopefully that will reflect in them what they see in their response to you. But all the times, they go to school and they're with other children. They'll pick up things that they see, and that deserves an explanation. That deserves an unveiling, a correction. Because these are not behaviors that you want to see happening within them. You want them to be aware of themselves. So a lot of times that's what it is. But those are subtle things. Expectation, it can be we always talk about big things, of course, when it comes to expectations, like expecting people to do certain things because you do it, or love you like you love them, or and to an extent, especially when it comes to intimate relationships, it's kind of a contractual thing. It's like, I can't live with you. I don't want to live with you if you're ugly and unkind all the time. If you want to lay hands, on my person, my body, or if there's no love, if there's no space for peace in the relationship, you don't have to. It's not like, you don't have to stay in that type of environment. Some things, of course, we don't stay in those environments, but the subtle things that sometimes we expect. When you're aware of yourself, you have to be, these things can come up and cause, suffering if you're unaware of it. Not if you're aware, but when you're unaware of these little subtle expectations, they can cause suffering. So it's good to kind of pause. I usually try to pause with any reaction, especially when it comes to communicating. I like to try to communicate in a way that's kind and precise, and just in a way that gives the intent that I'm trying to send. So if the intention is love, I want that to be communicated. So sometimes there has to be a pause for me to present that in the way that I would expect them to feel love. But even so, sometimes it's not always received, depending on who's the perceiver, who you're getting the, who you're taking the conversation to. They may not always feel like, or perceive it as that. They may heard I love you. You might have said I love you, but a story could have came up in their mind and why you said that. Oh, you only saying I love you because I took out the trash this morning, or you don't want me to talk about how you spent too much on bills, or because I did your work I had to cover your job, at work, or any storyline. It may not always be received. So it's best for us not to have any expectations, just to stay open And even when we are taken back, as long as there's a recognition even afterwards, that's good enough. You know, there should be no judgment when we're hurt. Because some things will cause emotion, or emotion rises up and you feel hurt at that time, you know. Then you realize, okay, well, that's an emotion because there's a story behind it, which was I gave love and then in return I didn't receive it, you know. Once the recognition comes, that, you know, that pain will dissipate, and, you know, and then it's okay. And you can approach that being still with love. It wouldn't change a thing. It wouldn't change a thing with me of how I approach the one, you know, who responded not in kind. It wouldn't change. I may not have a whole lot of, if it's not a family member, I may not have a whole lot more of interchanging. But if it's a work environment, I have to interchange, it still wouldn't change the love. Only thing I can change is my awareness of what's going on. It's that no matter how I bring the communication, or no matter what, they're going to respond in whatever way that is fitting, that they perceive their world in, or whatever they feel like is happening. You know, sometimes you can talk to someone and no matter what, they feel like, you feel like, or you'll perceive that there's a fighting type of personality behind it. It's like anything you say, they want to fight about it, you know. This is all personal stuff. But as long as there's a recognition that, okay, you know, that's whatever's happening, you know, that's what's going on. There's a resistance to your intention. I don't know how to put it. Basically, it's not responding you in kind and what your intent was. It's okay. It's okay to just leave it there. Just to let it be, because all it's doing is purifying what, or unveiling whatever expectations you have, you know. It's helping you grow into what you are already as love, you know. It's helping you to unveil that more and expand more, be more spacious, to be more kind, be more understanding, and just continue to be, you know, yourself. And that's all it's doing. Because today it may irritate you, and a whole year from now you may not even look at it as anything. And people will be shocked of how you're able to not even be affected, you know, with someone not as responding as most would expect. And so I hope I made that very clear. It seemed like it was, you know, it was hard to kind of get that across. Or, but anyway, I'm sure this helped someone, you know, because sometimes expectations can be subtle. And even if it's a small expectation, as whenever I give someone something or love, I have that expectation for them to reciprocate in kind. No, there should be no expectation with me. My experience is, do not expect anything. You know, give love and then give it freely and move on. And leave it there. Let it be. Well, thank you for sharing this moment with me. Remember that you are beautiful and I love you. Bye.